I just want to take a few questions as we move on, because a lot of people have responded to my plea that we have a fully blown, strong conversation around America so that people can offer their views on this critically important topic. There's a question asked at progressivecongress.org, and 4,887 people asked this question. Why is the EPA oversight in the coal industry being gutted? Well, let me say that the reason why those provisions regarding EPA oversight of the coal industry are not strong enough are simply because we haven't heard from you enough. We need input on this point. We need you to talk about how you feel about this. We need oversight on everything, but we need your input on what we should be doing to have oversight on coal, and we need your input on how this bill needs to be changed to make sure that the coal industry is being properly monitored. This is a critical thing for you to talk about. I know, and I can tell you that coal-fired plants, power plants, are, in my view, a serious problem. And I think it's a basic minimum that they have the technology necessary to clean them up as much as possible. But the fact is, even the best technology we have so far, still we have coal releasing particulate matter into the air, lead, barium, cadmium, serious things like that. Mercury emissions into our water that makes our fish polluted and inedible. We've got to have oversight on coal, and we're here, and I'm here tonight to ask you to get engaged in this debate, get involved in this conversation, and put your ideas up here. Why is the EPA oversight of coal industry being gutted? You know what? Because we're not engaging on this debate and shaping this debate, calling our members of Congress, telling them what we want. So I ask you to do that. It's very important that we engage in this conversation. It's ongoing now. I'll get to more questions in a moment, but let me just talk, just speak a little bit about what some of the key provisions of the bill will be, because we've talked about one of the provisions people are concerned about. Key provisions of the bill include requiring electric utilities to meet a 20% of their electricity demand through renewable energy sources and energy efficiency by 2020. Now, that is one of the provisions of the bill, and I thought I would tell that to make that point before I got to this the next question. 1,871 people asked this question: why is Congress refusing to support Obama in his call to get 25% of our electricity from renewables? The bill marked up so far is 5% lower on renewable energy standard than we need. I think 25% is a better number, and I hope that we get it. But without political force behind it, we won't. So call up your congressman and let them know how they feel about a 25% renewable energy standard. I'll tell you this. I'm happy with the 20% renewable energy standard based on the history that we've had so far. A 20% renewable energy standard is better than the status quo, but it's still not good enough, and it's not as well as we can do. So I think it's very important that we hear from everybody about this, the importance of a 25% renewable energy standard. Very important that we hear from people why that 5% higher and more ambitious standard would be better than the 20%. And I think it's obvious why it would be better than the 20%. It's 5% higher. But what does it give us? What does it bring us? What kind of assets and benefits do we get by pushing for that higher renewable energy standard? At the end of the day, we need to hear from everybody on this point. We need to hear from you, and if we don't hear from you, we're all going to be poorer for it. Another key provision of the bill is that it invests new clean energy technologies and energy efficiency, including energy efficiency and renewable energy, carbon capture, sequestration, and electric and other advanced technology vehicles and basic scientific research. In this category of investment, we're talking about a significant investment. We're talking about over $190 million. This is a lot of money. But the fact is, because the money for this bill will be, the proceeds will be from the cap and trade system. This bill is pay-go neutral. It's very important to bear that in mind as well. The bill will mandate new energy saving standards for buildings, appliances, and industry. Addressing this issue of buildings is very important. A lot of people know, but a lot more people need to know, that a tremendous amount of energy is lost through the roofs of our buildings. We need stronger building standards, and we need more energy saving technology and incentives to get us there with this legislation. If you believe they're not sufficient, we need to hear from you right now. The fact is that there was a question asked, are initiatives for future government buildings to be built green? If not, why not? The answer is we do have initiatives for future government buildings to be built green. We also have other bills separate from this bill in Congress to incentivize the building of green homes, particularly in HUD homes. There's a bill winding its way through Congress now, and the author of that is Ed Perlmutter from Colorado. I'm an author on that bill, and I'm happy to be. So that bill, called the Green Act, is a very good bill. Another important part of the bill is reduce carbon emissions from major U.S. sources by 17% by 2020 and over 80% by 2050 compared to 2005 levels. Complementary measures in this legislation, such as investments in preventing tropical deforestation, will achieve significant additional reductions. Now again, this is an important piece of the puzzle. The United States needs to do its part. Now, I hear many friends from people from the other side of the aisle always say, well, China and India, what about China and India? What about Europe? What about other places? The fact is, if America sets a marker down there that we are going to cut our carbon emissions, that sends a powerful signal and enhances our ability to talk to our neighbors around the world to say they got to cut theirs too. So I'm very proud that America is leading in trying to be out there and in front and doing the right thing, not simply saying we're not going to change our carbon emissions until other countries change theirs. That's not an American attitude to me. The United States needs to take responsibility and help lead the way. So I'm very happy the United States is taking its responsibility to reduce carbon emissions by U.S. sources by 17%. Let me talk about the Renewable Energy Standard in the bill. The American Clean Energy and Security Act, ACES, as I said before, requires retail electric suppliers to meet a growing percentage of their load with electricity generated from renewable sources. The combined renewable electricity and electricity savings requirement begins at 6% in 2012, that's coming up, and gradually rises to 20% to 2020. At least 3/4, 75% of the requirement must be met by renewable energy, except that upon receiving a petition from the governor, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission can reduce the renewable requirement to 3/5, 60%. In 2020, 15% of electricity load in each state must be met with renewable electricity and 5% with electricity savings. Upon petition by the governor, the renewable requirement can be reduced to 12% and the electricity savings to increase to 8%. It's important to keep this in mind. This is sort of an essential part of this bill, that the renewable energy standard that we've set forth. Can it be better? Yes, I think it can, but we need to hear from you to make it better. As I said, this bill is being marked up and going through committee as we speak, and will likely be on the floor before you know it. So please don't miss your opportunity to be a part of this conversation. It can't just be a Beltway conversation. It's got to be a conversation that engages Americans from Minnesota, my own state, California, Oklahoma, Texas, all over. We got to hear from America. We got to hear from America's progressive community on these issues.